So here I am, climbing in this moderately turbulent thermal over Monte Cagliano. We are approaching the sensitive part of the story now, so if you'd rather skip it, jump to this timestamp.
Hi, leuk dat je luistert naar een nieuwe aflevering van Vliegpraat, gemaakt door mij, Harro Brouwer, met Dmitry Balabanov. Ik kende Dmitry niet. Hij is actief op sociale media met Paragliding Stories en heeft daar duizenden volgers. Een heel ervaren overlandpiloot. In mei dit jaar deelde hij een uitgebreide analyse van een incident dat hij had meegemaakt, waarbij hij zijn reserve moest gooien. Ik moet eigenlijk zeggen reserves. Want hij vloog met 2 reserves en gebruikte ze ook allebei. Een getwiste rotatie leidde tot het gooien van die reserves. Ik was meteen gefascineerd door zijn verhaal. Niet alleen omdat hij het zo duidelijk uitlegde, maar ook omdat hij het niet bracht als een sensatievideo. En omdat ik zelf ook eens een getwiste rotatie heb meegemaakt, eindigend in een reserveprocedure, dacht ik, goeie spreker, opnemen die handel. In het Engels, dat wel, want een spoedcursus Nederlands zag Dmitry niet zitten.
Yeah, I can agree fully. So yeah, I'm Dmitry, 42 years old, currently living in Munich. I'm an IT guy working in software development, clouds and stuff like that. That means I have quite some time on weekends to spend my time in the mountains, do paragliding or other beautiful things. I am single. I have no children. That also means I'm really flexible in my decisions where to go and when to start, when to depart. I can, for example, think about going to Bassano on 31st of December, just a couple of hours, before New Year's Eve, and decide to go somewhere. And that makes me fly so much, actually, because I'm not restricted by my wife. I'm not restricted by the children. Yeah, this is how I'm currently enjoying it.
Wanneer ben je begonnen met paragliding?
I started I think it was 2015. Yeah, I did my course in year 2015.
Je hebt onder meer een YouTube-kanaal, Paragliding Stories. Wat was voor jou de reden om daarmee te beginnen?
Well, I would say it was partly a coincidence. I worked quite a lot with video production and video recording during my time at the university and stuff like that. So I already knew how to, the basic stuff, how to edit the videos, how to record the videos. And when I started flying, I just bought the cheapest action cam available on the market, and I wanted to record the flights just for myself to see, how it looks like, because at the beginning it was a bit of stressful for me. And I just concentrated entirely on the things I needed to do in the air, but I didn't see much around me. And so I just wanted to kind of understand what happens around me during the flights. And so I bought this cheap camera and recorded all the flights. These were indeed short flights, like, 10, 15 minutes. And afterwards, I started to putting together some summary videos about, my recent flights. And I uploaded the first one after a short trip to the town of Norma in Italy, near Rome. We had an adventure. There was a really, really bad week. We only flew one time throughout the whole week, and I managed to fly 40 minutes. That was my longest flight at that time. And so I recorded it. And then I put together a very boring video, 20 minutes, me soaring around left and right. Nothing happened in the video. And then I published it on YouTube and got maybe 30 views or something like that. And I thought, okay, that's it. But then at some point, I experienced quite an interesting story. So this was in Bassano. I needed to cross the big valley, and then after I arrived on the other side, I just needed a lot of time to find the next thermal, and it was very challenging, so I almost bombed out. But finally, after, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes of hard work, I managed to climb again and then complete my triangle. And then I created a short story about it, how I kind of which decisions I needed to make, and which things I tried and stuff like that. And then I showed it, uploaded again to YouTube. And that video caught some attention and found some audience, and the people started commenting like, "Hey, nice stuff. Please continue. Do the other videos about something like that." And I thought, okay, maybe this is something I could work on. And then I started with publishing similar videos, some short stories, some short moments that tell something particular, kind of difficult part, or maybe some experience I just went through. And so from the beginning, the audience always grew. And at some point, I found myself making those very big effort videos explaining how to fly XC routes and stuff, whatever. So it kind of very natural development, I would say. And these are paragliding stories, and I'm flying XC, so the name was born, Paragliding XC Stories.
Je schrijft erbij, all kinds of stories from a seasoned XC paragliding pilot. Leg eens uit.
I try to explain or to tell the personal experience of myself. It's I don't want this channel or my videos to be kind of to be instructional or to be I don't know, to it's really something really personal to me, and it's really the way I fly, the way I feel, the way I solve particular challenging situations, the way I choose to fly the XC routes. And so I just share my personal experience with the people. I don't want to be seen as an instructor or as as a guy who just prescribes something. It's really something that I just wanted to share with the others, like what I did in a particular situation, or how I did a particular flight. And the people just can decide whether they take this as something useful, or maybe just skip it.
In mei postte je een video met de titel Detailed Paragliding Incident Report, 7 times twist, 2 times reserve. Je hebt een hele hoop uitgelegd in de video, ik zal die link ook delen, maar kun je nu nog kort vertellen wat er gebeurde?
Okay, so I was flying in an area I know extremely well. With my equipment, I know extremely well, and actually the route I also know extremely well. So everything was quite okay, and I thought I was safe. I was ready for everything the current day could throw at me. But then something happened, and something completely unexpected happened. My wing got a huge collapse, which normally in turbulence, when you feel the air, you can always tell, okay, now something might happen, because the wing tells you what the air is around you, what's all about. No, kind of you feel the brake tension, all the movements, and you can predict a little bit, or at least in a way, a sense that might happen. Something might happen, but this time, this collapse was completely unexpected for me. I just got caught by this surprise, and that led to a wrong control input from my side. So I ended up not being able to stop this huge surge. The wing shot just very aggressively, and I got twisted after that. And after another surge that I couldn't stop again, I ended up in a particular situation. 40% of my wing was in a cravat, and I tried to stop the beginning auto rotation, which is the first thing you should do. And while stopping that, I just stalled the flying part because it also was a bit turbulent in the air, and maybe I just didn't pull it correctly. And that immediately led to this 7 times twist, and my brakes got locked, so I couldn't do anything anymore. So I ended up in this kind of rotation in a back fly or something like that. So the only thing I could do is to throw my reserve, because there was nothing I could do anymore.
Je vloog aan een E&D-scherm. Welke trouwens?
So at that moment, I was flying my wing. I flew for more than 300 hours, I think. It was my high ANG BGD Diva 2, my usual wing. I actually only have one wing.
En waar ben je nou uiteindelijk geland? Dat zag er best spannend uit.
Yes, exactly. It was a steep slope, maybe some cliffs, with a lot of small trees around. So those trees actually saved my life, I would say, because my paraglider and my reserve got caught by those trees, and they just brought me to a soft stop 50 centimeters above the terrain. It was a miracle, I would say, as I didn't got injured. I got lucky in that particular situation.
Wat was voor jou de reden om je ongeval op deze manier wereldkundig te maken? Heb je daar lang over na moeten denken?
Yes, that was actually a very difficult decision because, I already know that my channel has quite some audience and my videos get some views, maybe not too many, but still. And I was thinking about whether it is appropriate to share such a story. It's not the thing I usually share. Well, to be honest, I didn't have any incidents worth sharing until this time. Well, maybe one, but it was not so severe. As I mentioned, it was a difficult decision, but then I decided to do that because I also think that with my comprehensive analysis and all this stuff I explained in the video, all these things could maybe be a bit thought-provoking for the other folks, or maybe, bring them a bit more information about just a random incident. So again, it's just my personal story. I didn't want to give recommendations or to be an instructor explaining go through every particular input mistake I made. My intention was just to share all the background, all the conditions, everything that led to that incident, and also the learnings I personally took away from all this story. Again, so I think it might be just another thought-provoking story that may help other pilots in their flying. And I already actually got some feedback from others that they started to reconsider particular decisions in their flying career. So I think at least, partly my video reached the goals I set for it.
Welke reacties heb je op je video gekregen?
Well, all kinds of reactions. As you expect, there were a couple of folks who tried to explain which mistakes I made and how I should have controlled my wing and stuff like that. Well, I actually know. But anyway, then there were folks that thanked me, and exactly these kinds of words really motivated me to continue making the videos, because if the people see something useful in the stuff I do, then it makes sense to do it further. Well, and I got overwhelmed by the comments, to be honest, because there were hundreds of comments, and usually my videos don't get so many comments. But this one, of course, it was a bit a crash scene and a kind of controversial, maybe a story a bit or unusual. So I didn't manage to reply to each and every comment, to be honest. Just too many.
In de video zien we dat je 2 reserveparachutes hebt en ze ook allebei gooit. Waarom moest dat?
So, as I mentioned, I was in this kind of backfly rotation. I don't know, maybe spin-like rotation. It's difficult to describe. And that means that my sink rate was really, really low. Relatively. I think it was about 4 to 5 meters per second. And so when I threw my first reserve, this is a bit of an interesting thing. So I was in this rotation, and I did recall in my memory that my SAV trainer, my SAV instructor, told me in a very strange rotation, do not throw your reserve with full power, because it will immediately get into the wing, entangled with the wing, and you will be in a big trouble. And so I thought, okay, I'm in a strange rotation. I do not want to shoot it with my full power. I do a moderate throw. And I did that. And that turned out to be actually a wrong decision because of this low sink rate. The reserve failed to open. It just started to float around. It was an X triangle. It's a triangular reserve. It's actually a steerable one, but you need to unlock it to get steerable. So it's not steerable by default, but you can enable it. So, but I don't think it mattered at that time, because my second reserve also hesitated a bit. You can also see that in the video. It didn't open immediately. It didn't open immediately as well, because as I mentioned, the sink rate was just quite low, and also this rotation. It's difficult to describe in the 3D dimension. It would be something similar to a set rotation, when the wing and the pilot rotate in different directions, and that means that whenever you throw the reserve, these throw power will be eaten by the force, by the centrifugal force. So everything got kind of in the worst possible way. But still, the second reserve did manage to open, because maybe it was just easier because this triangular reserve maybe opens differently. I don't know why, but anyway, it worked in this way.
In de comments lees ik ook reacties als: en daarom moet je 2 reserveparachutes hebben. Hoe kijk jij daarnaar?
Well, when I started flying hotter wings, like the C wings, ENC wings, and AND, I already knew that I would need 2 reserves just for my personal risk management. I employ my personal risk management, which includes this Swiss cheese model, defining different Swiss slices of cheese with the holes, and you need to place them behind each other in that way, so that all the holes get covered by each other, so you cannot look through, And one slice of this Swiss cheese model is having just 2 reserves, because if one reserve doesn't work for any reason, then I will have at least a second chance. And I thought, personally for me, that getting or upgrading to an ENC wing is risky enough for me to take 2 reserves with me. And so after upgrading to an ENC wing, it was even a 3-liner at that time, but still. So I just bought a harness that had this ability to have 2 reserves on board.
Punt is natuurlijk wel, de meeste piloten hebben, voor zover ik weet, maar 1 reserveparachute.
Yes, that's true. But I just want to repeat, it was my personal risk management. I preferred it to do like that. I'm not an instructor, and I don't want to spread my own opinion on that. But 2 chances is always better than 1. I mean, and they are not really heavy currently. There are reserves that weigh maybe below 1 kilo. So why not have another one? I think most harness on the market do have only one reserve compartment. It's okay, but I know everybody decides. We always optimize for something. If you optimize for weight, then maybe you need a light harness which only can fit one reserve and stuff. So I would also say if you do just relaxing evening flights with a easy wing in mild conditions, you probably will not need two reserves. But in any situation, as I mentioned, two chances are always better than single one. So it was my first and my second time in the fair.
Je eindigt je video met een aantal leermomenten. Een veiligheidstraining hebben gevolgd geeft geen garanties. Honderden vlieguren geven geen garanties. Vliegen met bekend materiaal geeft geen garantie. Vliegen in een bekende omgeving, geen garantie. Luister naar je onderbuikgevoel.
And it's throwing a reserve is a skill.
Het oefenen tijdens een veiligheidstraining, een SIF, van inklappers en rotaties is iets heel anders dan daarop reageren als je gewoon aan het vliegen bent. In the wild dus. Ja, dan krijg je ineens te maken met het verrassingselement. It's another world.
You are absolutely right, and many SIV instructors also confirm that. In the training, you are in a controlled environment, I would say, because you induce something by yourself. You know what you are going to be training right now. And you also have the instructor, which also helps a lot. Because you always have this plan B. If you don't understand something, you are sure that you will get a hint what to do or what not to do. But in the real life, when you are dealing with the turbulence, with the real conditions, the things might happen completely unexpectedly. And especially in a situation where you are focusing on something different. And exactly in this situation, it really doesn't matter what you know in theory. Every knowledge, when something hits really hard without you, like by surprise, then the only thing you can do, what your body will do, is something that you trained. And if you didn't train something, then your body will react by instinct. And instincts are most of the times not right in paragliding, because we do the things because we are not the flying creatures. We grew up on the earth, on the surface, and our instincts also are kind of in this direction. We always try to handle in this way. But in the air, you should be doing something completely different. And this is what really, really matters in this case. The problem is training these kinds of situations, like really hard and unexpected collapses, is really difficult, especially on the modern wings, especially on the two-liner wings, because you can't actually train collapses on a two-liner. You could buy these additional folding lines and install them and pull them to induce a collapse. But this collapse will have nothing to do with the real one, which will happen in your real flight. That's the problem. And who wants to train collapses? Nobody wants to train collapses. It's kind of we want to have good and nice flights, and we don't want to be overstressed by all this training. It's a very difficult thing, a very, very difficult subject, I think.
Je somt ook de dingen op die je zelf zult onthouden aan dit voorval. Het risico van verrast worden, meer training nodig hebben.
Yeah, the thing is, we first need to define what training is, because between the SIV courses, I actually train by myself a bit. I do some spins, I do some high wing overs, some pitch maneuvers and stuff like that. It helps a bit with understanding the wing and to feel all the stuff, but it still doesn't help to react correctly when your wing blows up completely unexpectedly. This is the problem, and I don't know if there is any way to train something like that, or maybe I know maybe just. I just found myself at that situation. At that time, I just found myself behind my wing. There is something that the pilots who fly the big planes tend to say, I'm behind my aircraft. That means that something happens quicker or faster than I can anticipate or I can understand. And this is exactly what happened to me. Like, I tried to react to something my wing was doing, and I was a bit late, and I didn't anticipate what would happen next, because I was fully concentrated on handle a particular reaction at the particular moment. But I should have been thinking about actually the next steps. And I was in this single-threaded focused mode, and that was the problem. I have no idea if we can train something like that. Maybe some other folks, like the people who fly the records and recently in the Alps we almost broke the record with almost 400 kilometers triangle in the Alps. It's amazing, but with a really hot wing, the Nivuk I speak X1. It's a really demanding wing with an aspect ratio 8. I mean, if you fly stuff like that, well, you are really, really a nice pilot. Maybe such folks are just a bit different. Maybe maybe they can handle that kinds of events. I don't know. So I'm not a professional. Flying paragliding is just my hobby. So this is everything I can tell you about it.
Luister naar je onderbuikgevoel.
Yes, this is also something very important. In the recent time, or maybe last several months, I tried to suppress this gut feeling a bit because I thought maybe it's actually so. The thing is, I would just maybe explain the background of it. Initially, I didn't want to upgrade to A&D wing at all. So I wanted to stay in the ENC class. But then I tried an A&D wing, and I just really liked the handling, like the way the wing behaves in the air. And I thought, okay, maybe if you are stepping up to a two-liner, maybe it's not a big deal to step up to a A&D two-liner, because, hot ANC, A&D, they are very close. And so I did that. But all the time, I think I spent maybe over 500 hours under the hot A&D wings. Maybe more. I think most of the time I wasn't sure. I wasn't still sure if that was my right decision, because from time to time I had this gut feeling that I'm not comfortable enough under this thing. I did manage to control everything, and I actually did have 4 big collapses, and I handled them fine. So like 2-3 of them very nicely, and one of them I would say okay-ish, but without big trouble. Still, every time I was thinking about, is this really the thing that you will be doing the next years? Maybe you should go back to a more comfortable wing. This was my gut feeling, and in this particular flight I also suppressed my gut feeling again, which actually told me, hey, the air is quite unpleasant here. Maybe it's time to just turn around and fly back, because something's maybe off, or maybe, I don't know. This area was really a bit unusually turbulent. I have never experienced that bad air there, but I still decided to continue my flight, suppressing this gut feeling. And that again was confirmation that wasn't the right decision. So if your gut tells you, something is off, maybe you should put or should listen to that.
Het werpen van een reserve is een vaardigheid. Eigenlijk zeg je, je zou het eens moeten proberen.
Yes, it can be seen in my video. I just didn't deploy my reserve correctly. Well, because of this false assumption from me that I shouldn't deploy it with full power. It was indeed a mistake, but it is like I told you, it's a skill. So I haven't thrown my reserve at all, not even an SIV course, just to see how it works. Looking back now, I would probably say yes, you should throw it at least once just to see how everything works, like how long it takes, and maybe you will make this mistake with your first throw and won't throw it exactly right, and your instructor will explain you, hey, do it in a different way. So yeah, again, we started this discussion with one of the learnings, which was training is key, and this is exactly what applies here as well. Like throwing a reserve also requires some training.
Je vond het pijnlijk om beelden van het incident terug te kijken. Waarom?
You know, there are several YouTube channels that do analyze some collapses or some incidents where some pilots explain, hey, here is the wrong control input, you should pull more here, release sooner there, and maybe here a bit of weight shift, and here the wing is stalled and the wing collapses again, and doing that, and these would make things better. This is exactly what I was doing. So I was looking at myself and thinking, who is that? What this guy is doing? Everything is wrong. So I saw every single wrong input, and I knew every single answer to what I should have done in every single frame of the video and what I should have done differently. And that's the problem. So like I was watching myself doing bad stuff, not knowing why I did that. So that was painful.
Laten we duidelijk zijn, ja, een SIF-training helpt, zeker, absoluut, doen dus. Maar in de echte wereld gaat het anders. Heb je geen begeleidende stem en moet je direct dealen met de situatie.
Yes, this is how I explained everything to me, like this surprise, this unexpected event, and also everything kind of a bit of lack of SIV training or the lack of collapses training. You know, I didn't have too many collapses in my flying career. I have maybe over 1,600 flight hours in general, maybe more. And I almost throughout these 1,600 hours, I had, I think, 12 collapses, like the big ones. And it's just not enough for training, no? And that's the problem. So you train the active piloting and you can stop all the things, but every wing will collapse sooner or later. Yeah, we can just beat physics. That's the thing. I think that's what happened. I just got caught by surprise, put behind my wing, and did everything wrong with my control inputs. I think the main goal of an SIV training is to train the general pattern, like how you should react to particular things. You cannot really train the exact same situations that will be happening in your real flights. That's impossible. But the thing is just to explain, like to train your body to perform particular movements, in some situations, and that's the most important thing, I believe, because as I mentioned, when it hits hard, you don't have time to think, you don't have time to recall on the things you read somewhere or trained somewhere. Your body will react automatically, like an instinct, and so we need to train these kinds of movements so that it happens automatically. I don't think that the main target or the main thing of the SIV is to give you more time. I think it's rather to train this kind of movement sequence.
Kijk je nu anders naar paragliding?
Well, it's a good question because I summarized a bit of it in the end of the video. So I will definitely be stepping down to a less demanding wing. It's actually a thing I should have done a bit earlier. That's one thing. The second thing, I have flown some other wings currently, and some small routes as well, and I'm not just comfortable as in the past currently, probably because my body still has some some memory, and I think I prefer to skip all the turbulent days at the moment, and rather choose a bit more easy days for flying. But I still hope I will get back on track soon and will continue flying.
Yeah.
Actually got a very interesting comment on YouTube about that. There was a guy who was really suggesting me to take my time and to process everything that happened, so that it won't throw me out of the story entirely. I think so. I will follow his suggestions for sure. As I mentioned, I wasn't very comfortable in the turbulent conditions, but I also noticed that having a less demanding wing did inspire those very nice feeling again, and those very nice feelings again in myself, like what I actually enjoy in flying. Less wing control, less kind of shaking around, but more enjoying, more joy, more this state of flight feeling. And I think that it's the right thing. I'm currently choosing another wing, and I'm still confident that I will be back on track.
Excellent. Tot slot, wat is jouw tip voor de luisteraar?
When you do paragliding, just think about what you want to do out of it. If you will take it as a true sport, like you want to compete, you want to achieve some goals, you want to break records and stuff like that, then you need to invest a lot of time into training, into proper training. Otherwise, it's just too risky, too dangerous from my point of view. So even though nothing happened in the past, doesn't mean that nothing will happen in the future. And you can watch my video just to see, I was entirely sure, I was prepared, and I was ready, and I did have everything under control, but I didn't. That's the thing. But if you don't want to compete, if you don't want to be number one on X contests of the year 2026, maybe you don't have to push that much, and just to think about what motivates you to take off. What are your main wishes in the air? Do you really want that hot wing to have a bit more glided, a bit more speed? Maybe you just want a bit more comfort, or a bit more time for observing the landscapes around you, something like that. So this is the question we should ask ourselves. I'm not against competitions. I'm not against records and stuff. It's natural thing to compete, but I think our entire community is a bit too much focused on performance, on achievements, on stuff like that. So you read the news, a new record to 400 kilometers, and everybody celebrates all the big triangles or the twisted infinity tumblings, whatever. So everyone want to kind of impress and achieve, and we all celebrate that. But everybody forgets about just normal flying, enjoying, this state of flight, maybe some non-record flights, just something to be in the air and enjoy the views around you. So we just keep asking ourselves this question, what's the reason I'm here in the air? And maybe depending on the answer, choosing the way of paragliding. Yeah, as I mentioned, I was suppressing my gut feeling quite a lot. Both when choosing my gear and when pushing the flights. Maybe it was one of the reasons as well for the incident. So I definitely reconsidered that, and I will do. That doesn't mean I won't be flying XC routes anymore. That I stop recording my XC stories. I will continue, and I am entirely sure I will also fly the big triangles anyway. But I mean, we just have to decide for ourselves what brings us in the air.
Thank you very much, Dimi. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, and I wish everyone, safe flights, and maybe just check out my YouTube channel if you want to.
Tot zover deze aflevering van Paragliding Vliegpraat. Hopelijk heb je wat gehad aan het verhaal van Dmitry. Natuurlijk, hoe mooi is paragliding en hoe bijzonder dat we op deze manier kunnen vliegen. Langs de duinen, aan de lier, in de bergen, van rustige glijvluchten tot over land, acro, noem maar op. En bijna altijd gaat het goed, totdat, vul maar in. En daar kan Dmitry dus ook over meepraten en kan ik over meepraten en misschien jij ook wel. Daarom dus ook deze podcast. Het delen van verhalen en van leren en daardoor hopelijk meer mooie en veilige vluchten. Dus, vind je dit een leuke podcast? Abonneer je dan op Vliegpraat in je luisterapp die je gebruikt. Je ziet dan wanneer een nieuwe aflevering online staat. Een fooi of donatie geven kan via petjeaf.com/paragliding vliegpraat. Help mij Vliegpraat te kunnen blijven maken. Heb je een goed idee of een vraag? Stuur mij een e-mail. haro@hebmp.nl. Fijne vluchten, veilige vluchten en tot de volgende!
Thank you.